everybody. Welcome to baseball. Man, looking outside, sunny. It's a beautiful day. You can almost hear the crack of the bats, smell the Cracker Jacks. I'm ready to rock and roll. I am Scott Steen, lead handicapper at winnersandwhiners.com, and I'm joined for this adventure by the one and only
Scott Reichel, senior handicapper over winnersandwhiners.com.
And together, you may know us from our regular show that we do Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time called Back to the Window with Scott and Scott. We're stretching out a little bit today. We're going to take a look at the NL East and the AL East and do a little preview, a little breakdown of their division odds and their win totals. So, Scott, you excited? It's a nice day there in New York today. What do you got going on?
About 70 degrees, a little bit of wind.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Is it? It's about to become relevant. Is it blowing out the left?
That was an air conditioning joke.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know you turned it.
That was an air conditioning joke.
I didn't know you turned it down from 72.
That went right over your head, but no, that was an air conditioning joke.
You said 70. It threw me. Me. Okay. So you haven't been outside?
Not really.
Okay.
Been busy recording with you. Priorities.
Sure. Yeah, we got shit to do. All right, buddy. Well, let's jump right into it. The strike has been settled. The free agents are free agenting. And, of course, as it sits right now, this is March the 28th. We're about a week from opening day.
Week and a half.
Yeah, there you go. So let's fire it up. We're gonna start off with the NL East because we're both AL guys. So tomorrow we'll be doing the Central, and we'll close with our favorite team in our favorite division, and we're gonna do that today with Scott and the New York Yankees. He's gonna tell me why the Yankees can absolutely rule this division. He's not gonna. I bet he's not gonna do that. He's not. Mm-hmm. So let's start off with the world champions, the Atlanta Braves. Scott, they're in the NL East. They are they're the co-betting favorite with the New York Mets. Both of those are 150 to emerge victorious from their respective divisions, and both have win totals of 90.5. Now, this is a very different Braves team than we saw at the end of last season as they won the World Series. Freddie Freeman, long timer. Freddie Freeman is gone. You're surprised about that, Scott? They let him walk?
Very. And truth is, Atlanta's agent kind of handled that terribly. I know that people around analytics and baseball like Matt Olson as a player.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I have not really been a big fan of his. I think he's fine. His numbers are usually pretty good. I'm not going to compare him to Freddie Freeman. It's a decent consolation prize, but Freeman he was the face of the team. And I know you can make an argument that he might not have been the most talented player on the team when healthy, but he has an MVP, and he was basically Mr. Brave ever since Chipper retired. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, pretty much. Zach Vaughn checking in from Facebook said he had 2 units on the Astros today. This is Monday, of course, at plus 145. He says, I'll take it. Said betting preseason is always scary, but it paid off. Agreed. Preseason is always exciting because you got guys coming out of the bullpen that you're going to be fucking sacking groceries here in about a month. So, and that's not true. They're going to be playing at Double-A or whatever. But I think the point is they're probably not going to be on the major league roster. So, congratulations, Zach. Very well done. And you can certainly. We are fans of picking your spot in spring training baseball and capitalizing. So, you mentioned it briefly, Scott. They bring over Matt Olson from the Oakland Athletics. Good players, had 89 home runs over the last 3 seasons, 65 doubles. Nothing wrong with that. Now, what you have to wonder about, he dramatically cut his strikeout rate last season. Is that a permanent thing or is it a one-off? So, when of course, this Atlanta team also has Austin Riley playing third base. They finally found their third baseman, it looks like, Scott. He had a great year last year. Looks to do it for a full-time basis this season. Of course, they're going to get Ozuna back, and that's a huge, huge factor right there. They've got Eddie Rosario playing the outfield. They kept him, obviously let Soler go. So should be healthy as well. Pretty fair rotation, Scott. I think this is a very good pitching team, obviously led by Max Fried, Charlie Morton at the top. And then you've got our favorite, Ian Anderson, and Huascar, you know
you love him?
You know you love him. And then youngster Tucker Davidson is going to be the 5 spot there. Scott, they brought in a closer. Are you excited about that move?
Oh, they had to bring in somebody. They brought in Kenley Jansen. They're going to hope that he can, well, be a solid closer, because at the end of last year with Los Angeles, he was actually pretty good. And I know that we've made jokes about Jansen blowing some games here and there and everything like that. He was good last year at the end, so I'll give him credit where credit's due.
Yep. Of course, they've still got that moves Will Smith into the setup role. It's a pretty good 1-2 punch if Jansen can deliver. We'll see how that goes. I don't. Has he ever pitched in the majors outside of Los Angeles?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so either. So we'll see how the change of.
Well, because he was originally a catching prospect, so no, I don't think so.
Yep. Okay. Very good. So yeah. All right. Let's start off, Scott. The Braves, they ended up winning last season, as we mentioned, the World Series, but they did it on the heels of 88 victories. They went 88-73 last year. Won the division outright by 6.5 games over Philly. I did have a futures ticket on them. They were very good to me to win that division. 90.5 is the win total, plus 150. You want to get involved either one of those places?
Well, for the record, for some of these win totals, based on trying to shop for the best lines, some of these lines are going to vary. So I did find 91.5 wins for Atlanta.
Yikes.
At minus 110 on FanDuel.
Are you going to play it over just for the extra challenge?
No, I actually like the under.
Yeah.
It might surprise you because Atlanta, of course, is the defending World Series champion. You said before, Acuna Jr. should be back by opening day. He's not going to play the field.
He's not going to. He's probably going to be. The latest is he's probably not going to be back for opening day, but sometime later in April.
Okay. Either way, in April. And he's going to start at the DH spot, which is important because the NL, of course, now has a DH.
The DH in the National League.
I know. So Acuna can actually play without playing the field. Also worth mentioning, you might maybe get Mike Soroka back in August. Maybe.
Okay.
Huge question mark there, but if you put him as your 5 instead of Tucker Davidson, that's a hell of a boost right around post-trade deadline. So that could also help out. But I like the under because I am going to buy into the World Series hangover theory.
Okay.
I believe that Atlanta seemed to catch lightning in a bottle, especially without Acuna playing for that whole World Series run. And 91.5 wins is, to be honest, it seems like a lot to me just because of the fact that Atlanta, I do think, is still very solid. I think that Freeman was definitely a leader in the clubhouse, and I think that him being out is going to hurt. But Atlanta was very streaky. And I do wonder, with these teams that pull off the miraculous runs to win the World Series, how they fared the year after. Usually not that well, or at least right out of the gate. So I'm going to go with the under. I can understand if you like the over. I found it a pretty tricky spot. But for me, I think it's a little bit too high. I'll buy into the hangover theory. Give me the under 91.5.
All right, very good. You know, and one of the things that you have to look at when you're deciding about not just to win the division, but win totals, you have to look at the relative strength of the rest of the teams in the division, of course, because you're going to play 76 games against the other 4 teams. That's almost half of your games are going to come intra-division. So you have to look at the strength. And you've got one really bad team in this division in the Washington Nationals. You've got one team that may have overachieved the last couple of years in the Miami Marlins. We'll have to see. And then, of course, you've got Philly and the team that we're going to talk about next in the New York baseball Mets. Good to see Super Sly in the house. Scott, you want to take one real quick? You want to do a hockey play, even though we're doing our baseball preview? Chris Wright.
To be honest, I didn't really look at anything hockey related today. So
nothing from hockey. You got nothing?
I got nothing.
Oh, okay. Right.
Sorry.
That's all right. I was going to look and see.
Maybe St. Louis. I don't know.
Anything caught my eye. I was just looking at that. St. Louis.
I think St. Louis is minus 135. It seems a little bit low.
You really got a price on it? Because I got it at 160. So
I thought it was 135 earlier this morning.
Might have been. Yeah, Kings in regulation, maybe.
I guess the Blues line moved. So apologies there.
Okay.
I don't really have anything, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. Michael Harbaugh checking in saying take Philip Denault shots over 2.5 at plus 118.
I'm not going to criticize you for taking plus money on a player prop.
JC Stone. Here's an interesting question. And
well,
of course,
it doesn't involve the divisions we're talking about, though.
it doesn't. Yeah, it is because it's
I
Oakland.
think we're gonna have to save that.
It's Oakland A's. I'll never remember that. JC, please ask us that on Wednesday when we do the West, because I think we're going to have to take time to look and see how many of those they had in the last couple of seasons. He wants to know about thoughts on the Oakland A's over under 5.5 games, longest winning streak at -105.
First glance, of course, you lean under just because of the fact that this team's going to suck. But we'll talk about them in a couple days.
Yep, because I definitely know we have a lot to say about those teams, that team in particular. So moving right along, Scott, is the co-betting favorite. It's the New York Mets plus 150. 90.5 is the win there. This is a team that
they won the offseason.
Tell us why, Scott.
Well, they picked up basically everybody. So to go through all the moves, first of all, going through the actual coach, they picked up Buck Showalter, whether you like him or not. As for everything else, they picked up Max Scherzer. I heard he's pretty good.
I've heard
picked
that.
up Eduardo Escobar, picked up Mark Canha, picked up Starling Marte. They also traded for Bassett from Oakland, who's a pretty solid pitcher. He's their number 3.
Yep.
Which is insane. DeGrom only started 15 games last year. He's back. And yeah, this team's loaded from top to bottom.
Is that the best rotation in baseball? DeGrom, Scherzer, Bassett, Carlos Carrasco from Cleveland, and Taijuan Walker.
If it's not one, it's number 2, because that's a hell of a rotation.
I can tell you, Taijuan Walker wouldn't be a 5 in many rotations.
Yeah.
And you mentioned some of the offseason, the bats they picked up. Mark Canha is huge. Charlie Marte. That outfield has gone from a liability to a plus, I think.
They did lose Conforto, but Marte is definitely an upgrade.
To me, it really comes down to whether Cano can recapture a little bit of his youth. And I think the most important player on that field is the one that's making the most money. Well, I don't know if he's making more than the pitchers, but most important, the most highly paid position player on the Mets, and of course, that's Francisco Lindor. Disappointing season. No buzzkill, JC. No, we just haven't.
It was a bad year for Lindor. It was even worse if you throw out all the games against the Yankees, because he had a couple of outliers there. But yeah, he was not very good.
Okay. So out of those two teams, who do you like? And we'll recap at the end our favorite play and who we like to win the division. Spoiler alert, you're probably going to find out before we get to the end who we like to win the division.
For the record, I'm not the biggest Showalter guy.
Right.
However, I do believe he's going to be very good initially. I think long-term, he's going to wear it as welcome relatively quickly. But for a veteran presence to help out a team like this, I definitely like the move with this actual roster right now, based on the construction, especially since Showalter's known to let the starters go a little bit longer than most. And with that rotation, that's probably a good thing, especially with the history of the Mets bullpen.
Yep.
I like the over for the Mets at 90.5 at around -110 on BetMGM. It's arguably the best rotation in baseball. They picked up a lot of pieces for the lineup as well. DeGrom got injured last year. He's back. I know the Mets have a history of having a bunch of injured players, and the team usually underachieves. But on paper, this is the best team in the division. I'm going to take the over.
I probably am too, and I think it's going to come down to the pitching staff for me.
But you didn't answer Atlanta. Do you have the under or the over on Atlanta?
I've got the under as well. I've got the under 90.5. I think, if you're going to take somebody over, you can't take them all over, So if you've got the Mets over, I think Atlanta has to be under the 90.5. And I think that number is just a little too high. Like you said, shop your lines, you find a 91.5 out there. Even better, because as you guys well know, that's a huge difference when you start talking about like from 88 to 92. That's probably the range. So shop those lines. Phillies, Scott, plus 325 to win the division, 85.5. Is their win total? Of course, they brought in Kyle Schwarber. They brought in Nick Castellanos. 2 very good players to go along with Harper. Finally, he's got a little bit of fucking help there. 15th player in history last year with 100 walks, 100 runs, 40 doubles, and 35 home runs. Was that a pretty damn quiet season for him, putting up those kind of numbers?
Depends how you define quiet, because he won MVP.
Right, but it seemed like
nobody talked about it.
Right, right, and he really wasn't talked about at all in the MVP race until about the last 6 weeks, really.
Well, most of the candidates were awful. I mean, Freeman was the only one who's on a team. I can't even say he was a real candidate, but you're looking at who was really in the running. Tatis and the Padres fell apart.
Well, he
the
got
Phillies
hurt.
underachieved all year long. And then you had a little bit of Joey Votto question mark. Like you really didn't have anybody on quality teams.
He just like if it was a TV show, he just had a walk on. Joey Votto just
pretty much.
Hey, what's up? So this is basically I got problems with this rotation. I'm not gonna lie.
It's good for 1 and 2 or 1.5. Nola's a question mark.
Yeah, I know. You got Wheeler and Nola, and then hang on.
You're not a Ranger Suarez guy.
Just bet the over.
You're not a Gibson guy.
As you go, well, you and I have made a lot of money off Kyle Gibson.
He was actually okay with Philly last year, but overall, he's had issues with the home run ball, and in that ballpark, that could be a problem.
That's not a good thing. That is not a good thing at all. So you got Eflin, Suarez, and Gibson to go in the 3, 4, 5. No. Phillies. They won. They managed to sneak into second place last year. Went 82-80. They're looking for a 4-game improvement with the additions. Oh God, I think they improve a little bit. I've got them about 84. I think they just barely stay under that 85.5, and I just don't trust that pitching staff. I don't, and I really don't trust the bullpen either, Scott, to pick up the slack. I don't see them winning the division even at plus 350. You?
So for this one, I like the under as well. 85.5, plus 100 if you like to bet online. Hint, hint. To actually go through the recent years for the Phillies. Now, of course, you had the one COVID year, so I'm going to go by win percentage because, of course, you had a lot less games in the one COVID year. 86 wins is about 53%. The Phillies have not won 53% of the regular season games in each of the last 10 years.
Okay.
That sounds too crazy to be true. It is.
Sounds like a trend.
It's been 10 years since they've won 80, since they've been on an 86 win pace. Okay. Now they picked up Castellanos and Schwarber, like you said. They also picked up Familia, picked up Corey Knebel, and they also picked up Brad Hand. Now, Hand was awful last year. Familia's hit or miss, and Knebel's also hit or miss. But those are supposed to fix, quote unquote, the bullpen. The issue that I have is the fact that I don't like any of those three guys to fix the bullpen. Besides that, Castellanos and Schwarber, I like. They're also injured all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They've had serious durability issues for the last couple of years. Castellanos played a decent amount of games last year, still missed about 30 games. But I expect him and I expect Schwarber to get injured. We've seen Hoskins get injured pretty much every year. Harper won MVP, and they still only won 82 games. And Wheeler was a Cy Young finalist, and he had a great year. They still only won 82. I like the under, just based on the fact that it seems like every year Philly's overvalued, and I understand that they have Girardi as their manager. They got some experience there. They made some moves, but I don't like the rotation that much. I don't like the bullpen. And you pick up two guys that are very good when healthy, but they're not healthy that often. I think they'll get injured. I think they'll probably win around 84 games, like you said. I like the under.
Okay.
Especially at even money. That's just a good deal.
Moving on to the Marlins. 76.5 is the win total, plus 1,400 to win the East Division. This is a team that played some good baseball at times last year. They ended up really fading down the stretch, ended up 67-95, 21.5 games back. They're looking for some serious improvement over this this Miami team. And, it's a team that we've liked, Scott, and we've liked them because of their rotation. It's Sandy Alcantara, Pablo Lopez, Trevor Rogers, Elisa Hernandez, and Jesus Luzardo.
They didn't win us a lot of games last year, but they didn't need to because they were constantly plus 230.
Mm-hmm. And
plus, for totals with unders and team totals and everything, they are a dream.
Fantastic team total under team they were unbelievable the last full season before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
They were decent in COVID, and they were good last year team total under.
I do see a question, by the way, from JC, who wants to know if season win totals overs are riskier than unders because of injuries.
Great question.
I would say yes.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I've never actually thought of it in those kind of terms, but yeah, when you lay out the question like that, sure, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And is it going to be how much did we get? Did we lose a week of spring training basically?
Give or take. Yeah.
So that's going to make a difference because the last time we did this during the COVID season, Like everybody and their brother came out with pulled hammies. Everybody had hamstring problems pretty much for the whole season.
Pretty much.
As they had almost no spring training. So,
but JC, I'd say the answer is yes,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to betting on player props.
Mhm.
I'm a huge fan of betting unders for home runs, for example, on players, because if you bet overs, you need them to have a great year. There are several ways to cash an under. There's only one way to cash an over.
Yep. Very good. He's the Vince Lombardi of sports betting right there.
Just saying.
Roland Mims wants to know about our NBA picks. We have the Raptors as our farm play. He's got any thoughts on the Bulls?
I don't. That line looks a little bit trappy.
I agree. Same thing. I won't bet win total overs. I
think you can if it's a low ceiling. But if you want to bet an over on 90-something wins,
good luck.
That's pretty rough unless you're betting the Dodgers. I mean, that's pretty rough.
Somebody's going to – and the Dodgers win total was ridiculous. When the Dodgers like 102.5 last year?
I got to check, but whatever it was, they went over last
year.
They
got there, yeah. Yeah, they did. I know – you know who else got there? San Francisco. But, again –
San Francisco got in there about the All-Star break.
We'll talk to them on Wednesday. 76.5 for this Miami squad, Scott. Does that seem a little high to you?
It's a little tough.
I know somebody's got to win. We can't take unders on every team, but somebody's got to win some games. But
it's a little tough. I like the over.
Do you really?
I do. I actually looked at this roster, and I was pleasantly surprised by the moves that they made. Now, we talked about how good the rotation was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going to go through the pitchers. You have Alcantara,
yeah.
Rogers,
yeah.
Pablo Lopez. That's not the Orioles one. Don't worry. Eliester Hernandez and Luzardo. Luzardo was awful for most of the year. I made a killing off of fading him.
Yep.
However, he was actually pretty good down the stretch, so he might have potentially found something. But we like Alcantara a lot. We like Rogers a lot. And Lopez was pretty good too. The lineup, though, was the story because we know this team can't hit.
Right.
They picked up Soler. They picked up Avisel Garcia. They picked up Jacob Stallings, and they also picked up Joey Wendell. Decent 4 acquisitions right there.
Yep.
Especially Soler to give him some power there. I actually like the moves that they made. And also worth mentioning, one of my favorite youngster pitchers, Sixto Sanchez, might be back in July. And he did not pitch at all last year. We know he was one of the top prospects in baseball, which should help out that rotation midway through the season. I like the over because I do think that Miami, the only thing they were really missing was the actual lineup. And they picked up 4 guys that are actually pretty good at hitting the ball. I think they actually made some decent moves. I don't mind the over. I think they'll finish with around 80.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I'm assuming you like the under because you were making it seem like you can't take an over. With
you have to take an under. You have to take an over somewhere, and I think this is a decent spot. I'm not as impressed with the lineup replacements that they brought in. I'm
happy they did something.
I've had a lot of years watching Soler, so we'll see.
They needed somebody that can potentially bring in runs.
Obviously, he's got pop. He led the American League in home runs 1 year for the Royals, but you can find anybody that can throw a breaking pitch to him. He's kind of a Solano a little bit.
He's Serrano.
He's
literally just Pedro Serrano from Major League. He can't hit the curveball.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what I'm saying. I'd like to check schedule and see what teams are playing what division for overs and unders. That's also a good point. But again, you have to start with the division because 76 of the 81 games come in the division. So
you mean the 162?
What did I say? 81? Yeah, so 162. Sorry. Yeah, correct.
But as you said before,
almost half of the 81.
As you said before, you need an over somewhere, and I do think that Miami actually is a bit appealing because if they can even generate 4 runs per game or 4.3 runs per game,
right,
they'll probably win 80.
Yep, agreed. So I think we both took an over there because we knew what was coming.
Yeah, pretty much.
We had this team coming, and I don't know about Scott. I ain't playing an over on this team. This is the
worst. I like the under on the Nationals last year. Yeah. I know we actually disagreed on that team.
We did.
And I hit a home run there because I thought they'd blow it up at the All-Star break, and they did. But they somehow got even worse.
I thought the pitching would be a little better. It was not.
It wasn't your fault. Strasburg died again. I mean, you couldn't have predicted it.
Yep. 71.5 is the number for the Nationals. They are plus 4,000 to win the division. I know this is baseball, but are you guys going to start talking college football anytime soon? No.
I haven't even started thinking about college football. No.
We are not. Some guys you'll find are full-time college football guys that track all the off-season moves and recruiting and all that. That is not us. We have too many irons in the fire. I'd like to be that guy. It's probably my favorite sport, probably my most successful sport year in, year out. But I think we'll probably start doing some college breakdowns in August.
Yeah, if you want football, wait a couple of weeks. Maybe we'll do some USFL.
There you go. There you go. I forgot to tell you, thank you for the St. Peter's money line. No problem. And thanks for not giving me shit for my bad St. Peter's pick against North Carolina. As they were
You're rolling it over, though, so it's fine.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So this is a Nationals team, Scott. I can't get behind this. I can't get behind this rotation at all.
I mean, truth is, I don't even know how much time you want to spend on it because this team is just bad. I mean, when you trade Schwarber and you trade Scherzer at the trade deadline for prospects, you announce you're rebuilding, and yet you bring in Nelson Cruz. I don't really know what they're trying to go for. Do you? That acquisition is
not doubles in the cap. I'll tell you that much.
It's just mind-boggling because you basically said straight up, we're going to let the youngsters play. And then you got Nelson Cruz. I like Nelson Cruz. Well, he has to be traded by the deadline, right?
Well, he's 50.
But I'm saying he's still putting up numbers, though. I'm assuming you're going to flip him to a contender, right?
That'd be my guess. You're just basically signing him for draft picks.
It's a rental, and you're going to flip him, kind of like what I expect Minnesota to maybe do with Correa. But
I want to go through all the players in the rotation that I like, all the pitchers that I like in that starting rotation.
It's going to be quick.
Patrick Corbin.
Okay,
I'm done.
I don't even know if you like Corbin. He was awful last year.
I know. That's the only semblance of a bright spot in that rotation. Just for the record, it's Josiah Gray, it's Reddy Eric Fetty, Anibal Sanchez, and Josh Rogers.
I don't mind Gray. I thought Gray was actually okay last year. It wasn't awful.
Yeah.
But Fetty Wap was okay for a little bit. But I'll give you a trivia question because Strasburg is supposed to return in May.
Oh, fuck.
He's battling a bit of a neck issue.
Sure.
How many starts has Strasburg made in the last 2 seasons combined?
We're counting COVID year where they played 60 games?
Yeah, we're counting COVID year.
Okay.
Last 2 seasons.
Okay, combined. So normally you'd make about 33, 34 starts. That's about where you're at, right?
Yeah.
Mid to low 30s. So 33, and then the COVID, you take about a third of that off. So you got 11 stars. So you have 44.
Somewhere in the 40s is where your max would be.
Yeah, mid 40s is going to be your max starts. Mm-hmm. He has made 16.
7.
Okay.
He's made 7 starts in the last 2 years combined.
Oof.
So he's coming back in May from a neck issue.
Sure.
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
I assume he's going to get injured again.
Yeah. And it's almost something always different with him. It's the weird thing.
It's an elbow, it's a leg, It's a shoulder. Now it's a neck. It's really all over the place. Probably the worst contract or one of the worst contracts in baseball.
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, It has to be. He's made 7 starts in the last 2 years, but that's my point. You mentioned the rotation. If you're going over, you need at least more than one mediocre starter in your rotation. And Corbin last year was pretty mediocre. But Strasburg, I don't think he's going to be healthy. He's already missing the first month of the season.
No.
I think they're going to trade away Cruz or they're going to flip him once they're completely out of contention. I love Juan Soto, but he's slowly turning into A-Rod in Texas. He's just on a really bad team, and he's going to put in a bunch of massive numbers.
This is a Washington team that won 65 games last year, and the odds makers think they're going to get 7 better. No. I've got the under, and and it pretty much dovetails right into a segment we were going to talk about our favorite bet per division. Washington Nationals under 71.5 is my favorite bet in this division.
Yeah, I was kind of torn between the Nationals.
Oh, no question, Bronco. Yeah, because of the DH rule. No question. Go ahead, Scott. Sorry.
Well, I'm saying besides the DH rule, I expect Washington to flip him for prospects once they're out of contention in I don't even know July, but. I was really torn between the Phillies under at even money and the Nationals under for my best bet just because the Phillies haven't gotten there in 10 years. But at least they did something
right
to make the team better.
And they have the reigning MVP, so obviously
the Nationals have had a winning percentage below 44.4%, which would get you to 72 wins in each of the last 2 years. Strasburg's a mess health-wise. They got rid of Schwarber. They got rid of Scherzer. They're just letting the youngsters play for the most part. That team should be really bad. The rest of the division, also not terrible, which hurts for the 76 games they're going to play. I actually wrote out Phillies under as my best bet.
Okay.
I think I'm going to call an audible.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Nationals. I really don't think they're going to get to 70.
Good to see I'm influencing you, buddy. And do you have the Mets winning the division?
I do. I think the Mets are the best team on paper. The Braves, if they win, wouldn't surprise me. But I do believe in the hangover theory. And the fact that they only won 88 games the regular season makes me kind of question their intensity in the regular season for a decent portion of it.
Yeah.
I think the Mets are just going to be hungry.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, there's somebody. Michael Kingdon agrees with you, bud, about taking a look at unders because of on bad teams because they'll blow it up at the All-Star game, the All-Star break. I'll tell you what I like to take as far as over goes. I like to take those sneaky teams that are going to maybe poised for a breakout season. You're looking at like San Francisco was last year. We'll talk about some other teams that may fall into that category. I don't like taking good teams, team total overs, because they're usually such a fine line. There's such a narrow margin that if you have any kind of injuries or problems in the rotation, somebody underperforms, bullpen goes to shit. You can't make up those numbers when you're playing 92, 93, 96 or 100 with the Dodgers or whatever. So,
well, I also want to ask you, because I don't want to spend too long in this division, but we're talking about teams that might blow it up at the All-Star break. Are we sure Corbin's going to be there for the rest of the season?
Nope, absolutely not. If he has any kind of a decent season, any kind of a bounce back year,
because I know that he's got a big contract and he was awful last year, but if he looks even mediocre, I got to assume they're going to ship him.
You get one of those, not only are you going to fuck me in the ass, you're going to wipe your dick on the curtains kind of thing, as they maybe.
I don't know that expression, but sure.
Maybe find something where they not only have to trade him, but they have to pick up some of his salary as well.
Probably.
That's what I call that deal, where it's like that's the great example of that is the cat they traded from Colorado, the third baseman.
Arenado?
No, yeah. Where they had to pay St. Louis to take him off your hands. Like, okay. Yeah, here comes the curtain. Okay, bud. So that's kind of boring, but yeah, you and I are both on the same page.
I think we agree on everything.
We do.
If you want to go in order, we got Mets first, Braves second.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Philly third.
Yeah.
I do like Miami, but I think Philly's going to be better.
Yep.
I'll go Miami fourth, and I'll go Nationals fifth. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, okay.
I have it. Okay,
cool.
Okay, buddy. Let's start with the let's go into your wheelhouse here. Speaking of a team that made us a lot of money last year, it's the Toronto Blue Jays, brother. 92.5 is their win total this season. Same as the Yankees, by the way. However, they are they're more of a favorite than the Yankees to win the division, which is kind of odd in and of itself. Toronto Blue Jays plus 165 to win the East. A couple fun things about Toronto. They had the highest OPS last season in Major League Baseball, 797. But they got rid of Marcus Semien. He left in free agency. And I want everybody to remember, they played half of their home games last year, either in Buffalo, New York, or Dunedin, Florida. Scott, two pretty good places to hit. So they brought in Chapman as the A's continue to blow their shit up. But he had a horrible year offensively last year. He hit just 210 with a 403 OPS. Not good.
He's also injured all the time.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of injured, I think this team is going to really, really need George Springer to play more than 78 games. What do you say?
I'd say yes. You mentioned Semien being gone. Also worth mentioning, Robbie Ray's no longer there. And of course, he was the Cy Young winner. Now, the Blue Jays did address the rotation. They ended up acquiring Gausman, who was really good in about the first 3/4 of the season last year with San Francisco.
1 second. Sorry, James, apologies to your wife. I didn't know she had to hear that. I'm glad she laughed.
They also brought in Kikuchi, who similarly to Gausman was really good for the first half or so and then fell apart down the stretch.
Running the coach.
But Toronto, I like the over. Okay. I did find 91.5 at minus 125 on Fox Bet. So I'm going to take the over there.
Okay.
But you forgot one key piece, which is the fact that Toronto might have the biggest home field advantage in the entire league this season. Because if you remember, unvaccinated players are not allowed into Canada which means that if you're going to Toronto as the road team, you might be missing half your players because I don't know who's vaccinated and who's not vaccinated. So there's a very good chance that Toronto might be facing a bunch of shorthanded teams for 81 games. That's a hell of a deal. I like the over as a result.
Okay. We'll go through their starting rotations. Hyunjin Ryu, Barrios, Gausman, Manoa, not to be confused with Manaya, and the aforementioned Cooch.
That's still a really deep rotation 1 through 5.
Really is. It really is. And I don't know who puts a better lineup out there. We're not going to do every lineup, but I'm going to do this one.
It's a good one.
Springer, Bichette, Guerrero, Teoscar Hernandez, Matt Chapman, Gurriel, Biggio, Jansen, Danny Jansen, and Raimel Tapia. So yeah,
pretty good.
I've got the over there as well. And
do you agree with that though? That Toronto conceptually should have the biggest home field advantage. I
don't know the stats. I haven't read anything about baseball and vaccination rates. I have no idea, and I don't know how long those are going to be in place because I know they've started to drop a lot of their vaccine mandates in Canada. As long as the whatever it is, the fucking BA2 doesn't crop up on us here, I think those mandates are going to probably be gone by June 1st for sure. Probably.
I'm just saying though, that's 2 months of potentially facing shorthanded teams at home. That's a pretty good bonus.
Okay, I'm with you.
And the fact is, with New York and all, since the Yankees play in that division, the fact that they had to change the mandate status right around the time the Yankees and Mets were going to play suggests the Yankees might be missing some players because of COVID or because of some lack of vaccinations. So throwing it out there.
Good, James. I'm glad. This is a Toronto team. Good news and bad news, Scott. Bad news is they finished 4th in the division last year. Good news is they won 91 games.
Yeah, they were very, very good.
Of course, we're missing our old pal. He went off and won the Cy Young. Our old buddy Robbie Ray off to Seattle, right?
Yes, but that's the point, though. You're talking about Simeon, who's out, who hit 40 home runs last year.
Yep.
And Robbie Ray. Yeah, we just mentioned the lineup and the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's still really good. I mean, they're still a very talented team. And you mentioned that Springer really missed more than half the year.
Yep.
There's a lot of talent there. They're really good. I like the over.
Michael brings up a great point. Said the Jays were limited in getting free agents due to the travel rules. Yeah, it's not easy to get into Canada, especially it's a non-starter if you're not vaccinated. So you're not vaccinated, I believe, and boosted. So,
see, Bronco, you're saying by then the mandates are gone. Season starts in like a week and a half.
Yeah.
So it might be gone at some point, but you might be a month in.
Let me
just saying.
Take a quick look. Scott, go ahead and take on the Yankees, and I'm going to look at vaccine in Canada to see if we got any up-to-date information.
I looked into it last night. I didn't really see much, but looking at the Yankees, I found their win total at 92.5 on Fox Bet, a -110. I like the under. They won 92 games last year, despite being extremely tumultuous. Is that one way to put it? Because the Yankees were a mess for most of the year.
Yep.
And they still ended up with 92. Now, the main move was that they traded away Sanchez. They traded away Urshela. They got Josh Donaldson and Isaiah Connor-Falefa.
You hated both those guys, didn't you?
Gio I loved. I was a big Gio guy. I hated Sanchez.
I know you hated Sanchez. I didn't
Sanchez, thank God he's on the team anymore.
Okay.
Now, the issue is the Yankees don't exactly have a good catcher to replace him. They ended up picking up a prospect who might be the catcher, Anagashioka, who is probably going to be the opening day starter, but it's not ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, the main story for the Yankees was their lack of moves during the offseason. They needed a shortstop. They picked up Connor-Falefa instead of going for Correa or Story or anybody worth a damn.
I like that kid. It came from Texas, right?
Yeah. Oh, he was traded from Texas to Minnesota, and then Minnesota flipped him about a day later.
Yeah, I liked him. I thought he showed some flashes in Texas. I know he's
he's okay. I'm just saying I don't know if he's a great hitter. He's more of a contact 280 guy, which the Yankees could use, but
so he's hitting ninth.
Yeah, we'll see. But either way, the point is that the Yankees rotation, besides Garrett Cole, still pretty weak. They really didn't address much with the rotation. Aaron Judge also played 148 games last year, which was the most since 2017. I don't expect him to play that many this year. I expect Stan to get injured once again this year. They brought in Donaldson. He's had durability issues as well for the last couple of years. Aaron Boone's back for some reason. I don't know why, but I like the under because I don't think this team did enough during the offseason to address the holes with the current roster. And the rest of the division, pretty good. I like the under.
Who we didn't talk about, Scott, and that's DJ LeMahieu. Now, he had a sports hernia operation in the off season. What do you hear about him?
Well, it seems like he's healthy again. Of course, he's been batting leadoff for most of the spring training.
Right.
The issue is that the Yankees have too many infielders because they brought back Rizzo. Mm-hmm. But if you actually look at their lineup, is DJ going to play every day?
Yeah, I don't. That's the great question. Because
it's either him or Torres. I mean, you're going down the line. Falefa's going to play short because they don't have any other shortstops on the actual roster. You have Donaldson playing third. I'm assuming that they will rest him on occasion to try to keep him healthy. But you have Rizzo at first. He might not play against lefties, but you still have Rizzo. And then you have either DJ or Torres at second. So you're looking at a spot where Torres or DJ are probably not going to play for a couple of days out of the week.
Yeah, and looking at their rotation, of course, they have Garrett Cole at the top. They've got Montgomery, and they've got Severino coming back from an injury, and then Cortez.
Severino's been awful, by the way, in spring training. He's been a disaster in spring training.
I don't know what that means. You never know what they're working on.
I know it doesn't necessarily matter, but he's gotten shelled in like an inning or so in each of the last like two appearances. Like he's been awful.
We disagreed about Severino before last year. I know you're a fan. I am not.
I liked him in the bullpen when he came back, but I don't know if he's ready to be a starter again.
Okay. Well, I think this is a Yankees rotation is going to have some trouble. Yeah, they're going to have some pop, but I think, based on past results, you could certainly, like you said, count on Stanton and Judge to be hurt and probably miss. Yeah, I think if they're lucky, they miss 80 games between them.
I was going to say 40 apiece. We're literally right on the same page.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So, if everybody's healthy, the pitching comes through, sure, they could get there, but there's too many questions. And a lot of the reasons you guys were talking about in the comment section, I like the under here too, 92.5. I don't think they get anywhere near the division winning.
I'm also not a Joey Gallo guy, and we saw him in New York briefly last year. I don't know if it was the actual bright lights or what the story was, but he sucked.
Yeah.
And we know Gallo is a home run or bust guy.
Checker or wrecker.
He's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. of baseball. I'm not into it, but I just think they need to do more during the offseason. And it seemed like Hal Steinbrenner is the opposite of his father. He really does not want to spend that much money. And I'm not taking a team total over or a win total over if your team's not willing to spend as much money as it probably needs to. So I like the under.
Hey, Scott, do you like free money?
I do.
Can I interest you in the Tampa Bay Rays win total over 89.5? They are.
How did you know that I love the under? No, I'm joking. Of course I like the over.
Plus 250 to win. You forget about how good this Rays team is because they're there every year. They do it seemingly with smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, ignore the paper. It doesn't matter about the paper. They'll just win games.
Second in the majors in runs last year. They were tied for the Dodgers with lead and slugging percentage at 429. They tied with the Yankees in homers at 222. Here's a fun stat, Scott. They played 162 games last season. How many different batting orders did they use?
They had how many games?
Let me make sure they played.
Are you talking about regular season or including playoffs?
No, I'm talking about regular season. They played.
I'm going to say 145.
158 of the.
Okay, all right, hang in there.
So only 4 duplicates in the season. If Cash isn't manager of the year every year, I don't know who the fuck is.
He's so damn good.
This is a lineup that's largely intact from last year. They didn't do a ton. They did bring Corey Kluber. I don't know how you feel about that.
They re-signed Wander Franco, so that helps.
Re-signed Wander Franco. And other than that, it's pretty much the same lineup that they trotted out last season. You look at the pitching rotation, you go, well, I got questions. Well, fuck you. That it doesn't matter. They'll work it out.
By the way, just so you know,
Thank you, Bronco. Yes, you got it.
Even if Kluber is not very good with this team, just a reminder, he's replacing Chris Archer. Like, they tried the Archer experiment last year, which people forgot about because he got injured.
Right.
He sucked. Yeah. Like, Kluber should be better than him, worst case scenario.
Hey, worst case scenario, Kluber goes get 3 innings out of him. Get him as a quasi opener. Go with 2 or 3 innings. Fuck it.
Cooper wasn't bad with the Yankees last year. He just got hurt again.
Yep. So you and I both like the over there. Scott, value, of course. 89.5 is your number.
Glasnow is probably out for the rest of the year. Just also throwing that out there.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think we can count on him. But hell, this team won 100 games last year, Scott.
They're good.
They are. They're good, and they're inexplicably good. But
they also lost Nelson Cruz, which is worth mentioning.
It is. I agree. Okay, bud. So
I can't take the under with Tampa. I mean, if you go down the actual records here, they have been at a 90-win pace. Once again, the COVID year throwing off the actual numbers in each of the last 4 seasons. So they've gone over this in each of the last 4. They have probably the best bullpen in the league, or at least top 3 bullpens.
Certainly best in the division.
They find ways to bullshit wins, and that's good enough for me. I'll take the over.
Red Sox 85.5 plus 575 to win the East. They brought in Trevor Story, of course. You got Story and you got Martinez. That's very good. Rafael Devers and
Bogarts.
You've got 4 guys that ranked in the top 11 in extra base hits last season. That ain't nothing. But again, yes, they can hit. Scott, can they pitch? Evalde Pivetta, Houck, Waka, and Rich Hill.
Yeah, they lost Eduardo Rodriguez, so they lost one of their best starters. It is worth mentioning that Chris Sale only started 9 games last year. Now, he too is going to be out for the start of the season. He's projected to return in May. I'm not sure if he can stay healthy. Let's pencil him in for, 16 starts.
Okay.
Give or take.
All
I mean, that's still a pretty good option there. You get basically double the output of last year.
Yep.
The main issue with Boston last year was the bullpen, which was awful. However, they did pick up Jake Diekman, who has been a pretty good reliever for the last couple of years to help out the bullpen. I like the over. I just think this team's too talented. Story playing second base is just an insane addition to the lineup in Fenway. I think they're going to score a bunch of runs. They had a nice run last year in the playoffs. I like Cora as a manager. I think he is a very good manager. Give me the over. I think they'll probably be pushing around 90.
Okay. I
got the trash can joke, by the way.
I think you're half right. They are going to be an over team. They're going to be game total overs. As far as the win total goes, nope. I don't believe in this pitching staff at all.
Do you have a number that you're penciling them for? You got them at like 83?
I do.
Like that?
That's exactly the number I have them at. It is 83.
I got them at 88.
Okay. All right. Very good. That's finally a disagreement. I'm happy.
I think worst case scenario, once again, as a reminder, since we talked about taking unders with teams that might be tanking at around the All-Star break, we know the Red Sox aren't going to tank.
No.
So if you're going to give me a team that will most likely be a buyer at the deadline, I tend to side more with overs.
Well, they're going to score some fucking runs, so you're going to have to see some 8-5 wins right there. It's what you're going to have. Bronco Devil says the Yankees play the Royals 7 times. That's 7 wins.
Have you seen the Yankees travel to Kansas City? It's usually a dicey situation.
Not good. It's not good, even though you got to the stadium and half the fucking stadium is Yankees fans. But
yeah, I'm sure you noticed that too. The Yankees always have a hard time beating Kansas City in Kansas City.
They do, and the Royals can't do shit in New York.
Correct.
That is a home and home series right there. So, Bronco Devil, just stay in your lane, buddy. That's all I'm saying. I think what a Rockies fan. Rockies fans don't get to talk shit on anybody. I'm sorry. Well,
you're not sorry, but it's fine.
No, not a bit. We are contractually obligated to talk about the Baltimore Orioles as well, Scott.
What's the number?
62.5.
Okay.
And you want to take a spin on to win the conference or to win the division, rather? How about plus 5,000? That's 50 to 1.
On the bright side, if you think they lose less than 100 games, then you take the over.
Uh-huh.
Not a math major, but that checks out.
How that math works out.
The biggest news the Orioles actually had during the offseason was changing the dimensions of the ballpark. Is that the biggest news that they've had?
Remind everybody again what they did there, because the Rangers. Yeah, congratulations. You must.
So they figured, since we can't fix this rotation, how are we going to allow less runs per game? And they decided to move the fence back a little bit in left center. So they made it a little bit higher, and they ended up making it a little bit further. So you should see less home runs. The issue is that this rotation, I wrote it out. It might be the worst rotation in baseball.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
It's
We'll know by
bottom
Wednesday, but
three.
it's the worst rotation of today, for
It's
sure.
bottom three.
Yes, it is. John Means, Keegan Aiken.
Well, pause. Means is okay. Means will give a pass to.
When he's healthy. He's healthy. Keegan Aiken showed flashes, but for the most part, not good.
I think he was 0-6 to start the year last year.
And then it gets bad. Zach Lothar, Mike Bauman, Grayson Rodriguez. $10 for everyone who's heard of any of those guys.
Bruce Zimmerman might be thrown in there at some point.
Oh, good news.
He's still in the league, by the way, Bruce Zimmerman.
I've got to play the under here, buddy.
Of course.
I think they lose 100.
So I'm going to throw out a fact here, which I'm sure some people have heard, but I'm just going to say because it's funny. Max Scherzer, guy we talked about before, he's making about $40 million this year, a little bit more. He's making more money than the entire Baltimore Orioles payroll. Baltimore has the lowest payroll in the entire league. So they are investing in the youngsters, and they paid for basically nobody. The rotation stinks. They lost Maikel Franco. They replaced him with Rougned Odor. Good luck with that one. They've gone under this pace for the actual win percentage in 3 of the last 4 seasons. The one exception was the COVID year. But 62.5 for a team that just walks into about 105 losses with the worst rotation in the league, or at least up there. I gotta like the under. This team's going to lose 100 plus because even if we don't like the Yankees, even if we disagree on the Red Sox, these teams are light years ahead of Baltimore. And out of those 76 games in division, Baltimore might win 20.
Yeah.
I have to take the under.
It's going to be rough. Bronco Devil says they grew up an Orioles fan, so he backs the Colorado Rockies, the Orioles, and the Rangers.
I respect it. You combine them, you might win 82 games.
I'll tell you what. I'll take the Royals against any of those 3 teams, win total, and for a steak dinner whenever one of us is in the other guy's town. So
I think the Rangers are going to be your best option there.
I know,
just because of who they acquired. But
yeah, I agree.
We'll see. But Baltimore, I get it. You see a low total. You can't visualize a team losing 100 games until you look at the last couple of years for Baltimore, and they walk into 100 losses every year.
Yep. All right.
Yes, I'm picking them to lose 100.
Let's recap. Toronto Blue Jays, we both have over 92.5, correct?
Yes. Do we have them winning the division?
I do.
It's so tough to go against Tampa, though. They find ways to pull off some random wins. Oh,
well,
God.
You know what? As far as value goes, I'm going to have to.
The value's on Tampa.
I'm going to take the Rays at plus 250. As far as who I really think at the end of the day, if everything else was equal, who wins the division, I think Toronto sneaks it out.
I'm going with Toronto.
I'm worried about their pitching, but
yeah,
I'm not worried about their hitting. It could be it could be some runs scored in that division.
I'm going to go with Toronto, but once again, Tampa is always that team that you just assume is going to be in the hunt. It's not going to be easy if you bet Toronto. I'll tell you that much.
No, it's not.
I got Tampa in second.
Okay. Yeah, I do too. Yankees in third.
That's where we disagree.
You have Yankees in fourth?
I got Boston finishing ahead of the Yankees.
Okay.
I think the Yankees I wouldn't say they're going to go into free fall. I think it's going to be a very underwhelming year for the Yankees.
Okay. Very good. And then I think we both agree about Baltimore. So,
yeah. But if you wanted to win totals, I said that the Red Sox have around 88, 87, give or take.
Yep.
I really got the Yankees around 86.
All right.
I just think they're going to have a lot of players dealing with injuries. Even Cole battled injuries last year.
Absolutely. And I just am not quite as high on the Red Sox as you. I think that's really the only place where we really differ.
I think I'm just low on the Yankees.
Yeah,
I know we're both low on them. I think I'm lower than you are.
You are lower than you've got that home team fatalism that I also have when talking about my teams. Where
I was just so anti everything they did during the offseason.
Right.
And with the mentality with Steinbrenner, with the Suns, and not willing to spend the money they need, I'm not even sure they're buyers at the deadline anymore.
Yep. Oh, dude, we got to rock. We're done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, my best bet's going to be the Orioles under.
Okay.
I think they lose 100 plus.
I'm with you. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. We got to make room for Detroit, Lenny, and the boys. So, yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. We're We're out of here. Sorry for running over, guys. And check us out tomorrow. Same deal, 3 p.m. Eastern for a regular show. And we'll do our Central preview right after that. You guys take care. Have a great day. Thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.